All right. Shalom, family. It's your brother Kanaiba coming at you once again with this video titled, Did the Plan Change After He Came Unto His Own? False Doctrine Exposed. So there's a doctrine that's taught out there in the world, and this particular doctrine, it pretty much comes from Christianity, okay? And this doctrine is based upon two verses in the Gospel of John, okay? And it's based on John chapter 1, verses 11 and 12, okay? And the verse, for the most part, says, that Yahweh Shai, whom the world knows as Jesus Christ, it says he came unto his own, and his own received him not, okay? And that's really the main verse, okay? So they take this particular verse and they pretty much isolate this verse and they make a whole doctrine out of this verse as to say that because the Jews rejected Yahweh Shai, and it wasn't even all the Jews, okay? Which we're going to get into that. But it wasn't all the Jews that, rejected him, but based upon this verse, it says that he came unto his own, and his own received him not. So what's said in Christianity is that because of that, the plan pretty much changed, okay? That salvation is now open also to the Gentiles, which they say is the other nations, right? And I say it like that because there are certain instances where Israelites are known as Gentiles or referred to as Gentiles, okay? But they use this particular verse to say that now because the Jews rejected Yahweh Shai, that salvation is now open to all people, okay? Then they go on to the next verse, verse 12, where it says that that as many as accepted him, I'm roughly paraphrasing, that he gave them the power to become the sons of God, okay? So they take these two particular verses and they make a whole doctrine out of it. And to those who may be new to the truth, they'll listen to this and it may have them confused, okay? So what I want to do in this particular video is I want to actually go into the scriptures and give the correct understanding upon these two verses, okay? And what you're going to notice is a lot of the verses, or some of the verses that I use to actually teach this correctly, actually come from the same gospel, the Gospel of John, okay? But without further ado, let's get into the scriptures and get some understanding on this matter and expose this doctrine for what it is, which is a false doctrine, okay? Because as we know, salvation is only for the children of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, okay? So starting off, this is the book of John, chapter 1, starting at verse 11, and it reads, He came unto his own, and his own received him not. So, of course, in Christianity, what they'll do, they'll take this particular verse and they'll zoom in on the words his own, okay, right here. And as we know, his own is referring to the Jews or the Israelites, right? But I'm going to say the Jews because at this time, it was mainly the southern kingdom of Israel that was in the land with him, okay? So the southern kingdom of Israel are the Jews, okay? The word Jew is short for Judah, okay? And as we know, Judah was the head tribe over the southern kingdom at the time, okay? So it says he came unto his own, which are the Jews, and it says, and his own, again, the Jews, received him not. So what happens after this within Christianity, what is taught is, okay, well, his own, being the Jews, they rejected Christ, whom the world knows as, or whom is Yahweh Shai, whom the world knows as Christ. They'll say that they rejected Christ, so now salvation is open to all people. Okay? That's the doctrine that actually stems from these two verses that we're going into. Okay? So now what I want to do is I want to give some more clarification about his own. Okay? And let's see how Yahushua actually felt about his own, even though they rejected him. All right, let's get into it. So moving forward, this is the exact same gospel, the Gospel of John, chapter 13 and verse 1. And it reads, "Now before the feast of the Passover, when Yahushua knew that his hour was come that he should depart out of this world unto the Father." Now watch this. "Having loved his own, which were in the world, he loved them unto the end." Okay, so what do we see here? Towards the end of the verse, it says, "Having loved his own, which were in the world," right? So we've already established that his own are who? The Jews. Okay, the Israelites. That's his own. And it says that he loved them. Who's the them in this verse? In context, of course, it's his own. That's the them in this verse. It says he loved them unto the end. Okay, so now reading this, it shows that even though his own rejected him, it never changed his feelings towards them. Okay? He still loved them unto the end, meaning all the way unto the cross and to the point where he gave up the ghost. He loved them unto the very end. Okay? So now, having said that, and also let me say this as well, because as we know, love is not just a feeling. It's actually more so an action word. Okay? When you read 1 John, I want to say it's 1 and 18. You brothers can correct me if I'm wrong, but it says that let us not love in word and in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Okay? Indeed meaning what? Actions. Okay? So how did Yahushua show his love through actions? The main thing he did was what? He died for whom? His own. Okay, because it says he loved them unto the end. And he showed that love through his death. Okay? So now, having said all of this, seeing that even though they rejected him, it never changed his feelings towards them, how can we say the plan changed as well? It makes no sense. Now, let's see if his feelings has changed after death. Let's see if he feels the same way today that he felt back then towards his own. Okay, let's get to it. So this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 13 and verse 8. And it reads, Yahushua HaMashiach, the same yesterday and today and forever. Okay, now why is this verse so important? It's important because it shows that Yahushua, he does not change. Okay? So we know in the past that he loved his own unto the end, okay? Meaning his feelings did not change. Even though it says that his own received him not, they rejected him. But it says that he still loved them unto the end. Okay? So if he felt that way in the past, which would represent yesterday, then that means that he feels the same way today. And watch this, as the verse says, and forever. So that means what? Even to this day, he still loves his own. His feelings have not changed. Okay? So having said that, if his feelings have not changed for his own, What does that say about the plan in general? That should let you know that the plan, the mission, has not changed either. Okay? He still died only for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And we're going to get into that. Okay, let's go back to the Gospel of John chapter 1. And let's continue to attack this false doctrine. Okay? So going back, this is the Gospel of John chapter 1 and verse 11 again. And it says, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. Right? So we pretty much already proved that even though his own rejected him, they did not receive him, it still did not change his feelings towards them. Okay, now let's deal with the mission, the plan. Let's go to the next verse. And it's verse 12, and it reads, but as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Okay, so now what we're getting into is the mission, the plan. Okay, so the beginning of the verse says what? But as many as received him. Okay, so what is taught in Christianity is the ones that received him. This verse is referring to the other nations, the Gentiles. Okay, this is what's taught. And we're going to show that they are in error for teaching that. Okay, it goes on to say what? To them gave he power to become the sons of God. Okay, so what does that mean? That he gave them power to become the sons of God. Okay, in the Bible, you have what's known as the adoption of sons. Okay, that's what this is talking about. Okay, the adoption of sons. This is why it says he gave them power to become the sons of God. This is dealing with the adoption. Okay, and what we're going to prove is that this adoption is not for all people. It's only for a specific people. Okay, and that specific people, let's not leave any suspense. It's the children of Israel. Okay, now let's go into the precepts and prove that it's only the children of Israel that can be adopted back to God or become the sons of God. Okay, let's get into it. So this is Galatians chapter 4, starting at verse 4. And it reads, but when the fullness of the time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law. Okay, so this son that God sent forth, of course, is Yahushua, whom the world knows as Jesus Christ. Okay, it says made of a woman, meaning he was born in the flesh, just like all of us. And it says made under the law. Okay, so his birth was according to the prophecies in the law. Okay, now verse 5 is the point. Now watch this. It says to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. Okay, so this particular son that God sent forth, which is Yahushua, it says he was sent forth to redeem them that were under the law. That's who he was sent to the planet Earth for those that were under the law. Okay, and those that were under the law are the ones that have the opportunity to receive the adoption of sons, or they have the opportunity to become the sons of God, as it says in John chapter 1 and verse 12. right? So now, as we see here in Galatians chapter 4 and verse 5, it says that he came to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. So it's those that are under the law that have the opportunity to become the sons of God, or to receive the adoption of sons. Okay, so now it would behoove us to find out who was under the law. Okay, because whoever this is, those are the ones that have the opportunity, or they are the ones that Yahushua gave power to become the sons of God, as is stated in John chapter 1 and verse 12. And this is the particular verse that those in Christianity, they erroneously explain this verse to mean that he gave all people outside of Israel the power to become the sons of God. But now we're going to find out who it was that was under the law, because those are the ones that received the adoption of sons. Okay? So now let's get to it. So this is the book of Psalms, chapter 147, starting at verse 19. And it reads, He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. Okay, so again, let's not leave any suspense. It's the children of Israel that was under the law. Okay, but now let's see if anybody else was under the law as well. Okay, let's look at the next verse. Verse 20, and it reads, He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh. Okay, so no other nation was under the law except for the children of Israel. Okay, that's what the verse means when it says he hath not dealt so with any nation. Okay, no other nation was under the law. No other nation knew of his laws, his statutes, his judgments. Okay, because the law was not given to them. Okay, he did not go into covenant with any other nation. Okay, except for the children of Israel. Okay, and this is something that you should praise Yahweh for. Okay, so now we've given more clarity as to whom it was that was under the law. Okay, and we've just proven that it was the children of Israel only that was under the law. Now this, of course, is important because what we just read in Galatians chapter 4 and verse 5, it said what? That Yahushua came to redeem them that were under the law, right? And we've just proven in Psalms chapter 147, verses 19 and 20, that it was the children of Israel that was under the law. Okay, so according to Galatians chapter 4 and verse 5, it's those that were under the law that have the ability to receive the adoption of sons. So we know that it was Israel that was under the law, so it's the children of Israel that are the ones that can receive the adoption of sons. Okay? Now, it's important not to lose the thought, because remember, this whole topic is about the false doctrine that's taught within Christianity, and they take this doctrine based upon John chapter 1, verse 11 and 12, that says what? He came into his own received him not, but as many as received him, he gave them power to become the sons of God. Okay, and they say that the ones that he gave power to become the sons of God are now the Gentiles, the other nations. Okay, but we're seeing here that the ones that receive the adoption of sons, or the ones that are able to become the sons of God, are the ones that were under the law, which are the children of Israel. Okay, so now let's further drive this point home. Okay, let's go to the book of Romans and get more clarity. Okay, so this is the book of Romans, chapter 9, starting at verse 3, and it reads, "For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh." Okay, so now what are we seeing in verse 3? That the topic matter is whom? It's Paul's brethren. Okay, that's the topic matter, his brethren. Now, his brethren are whom? His brethren is his kinsmen according to the flesh. Meaning these are not spiritual brethren. Okay, and that's another false doctrine that's out there in the world. And I might tackle that one as well. Okay, this whole spiritual Israelite thing. Okay, but the point being is this. In verse 3, the topic matter is whom? His brethren according to the flesh. Okay, now let's look at the next verse, and it clarifies it. It's clear. It says, who are Israelites? Okay, so the Israelites are Paul's brethren and his kinsmen according to the flesh. Okay, because Paul himself was an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. Okay, so verse 4 goes on to say what? To whom pertaineth the adoption. Okay, so the verse starts off by saying what? Who are Israelites? Then it goes on to say, to whom pertaineth the adoption. Okay, and verse 4 is not in the form of a question, because I've heard that foolishness before as well. This is not a question, okay? Verse 4 is a continuation of what he was saying in verse 3. He's clarifying whom his brethren are according to the flesh. That's why he says, who are Israelites. Then it goes on to say, to whom pertaineth the adoption. So the adoption pertains to Israelites. What is this adoption? It's the adoption of sons that we read about earlier in Galatians chapter 4 and verse 5. Okay? Again, giving us more clarity as to whom he gave power to become the sons of God. It's the Israelites. Okay, so now that we have all this understanding, let's go back to where we started at in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verses 11 and 12. And we're going to read it again because I pointed something else out earlier about how in verse 11, they'll take that verse where it says he came unto his own and his own received him not. And they'll say that all Israel rejected him. That's what they're implying, but that's not true, and we're going to prove that wrong as well. Okay, so let's go back to John chapter 1, and we're going to start at verse 11 again. Okay, so this is John chapter 1 and verse 11, and it reads, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. So a lot of times, what's taught in Christianity is that, again, the Jews rejected him. And they'll say it just like that, again, implying that all the Jews rejected him. And that's not true. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to stay in this same gospel, the Gospel of John, and we're going to prove that wrong. Okay, which should really show that this is a false doctrine if I can prove it in the exact same gospel. Okay, so let's get to it. This is John chapter 8 and verse 31. And it reads, Then said Yahushua to those Jews which believed on him, If ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed. So what do we see here? Okay, we see that the beginning of the verse says, Then said Yahushua, watch this, to those Jews which believed on him. Now, pause. Okay, what's taught within Christianity, or what's implied, is that when you read John chapter 1 and verse 11, that all the Jews rejected him. But we see here, just a few chapters later, in chapter 8 and verse 31, that he had Jews that believed on him. Meaning what? All the Jews did not reject him. Okay? And this is important because in John chapter 1 and verse 12, it says, But as many as received him, he gave them the power to become the sons of God. Right? So what does that let us know? That the many that received him are the Jews which believed on him. Okay? It's not talking about all the other nations. Okay? Okay, that's why reading in context is so important. Okay? The ones that received him, that he gave power to become the sons of God, okay, were the Jews. Okay? And in an extended version, okay, it's talking about all the Israelites that believe on him, even to this day. Okay, if you believe on Yahushua, you have the opportunity to become one of the sons of God. Okay, now let's stay in the Gospel of John and let's go to another precept proving that all the Jews did not reject him. Okay, so this is the book of John, chapter 12 and verse 9, and it reads, Much people of the Jews, therefore, knew that he was there. That he is talking about Yahushua. And they came not for Yahushua's sake only, but that they might see Lazarus also, whom he had raised from the dead. So Yahushua had recently performed a miracle. Okay, he raised Lazarus from the dead. Okay, and word got out about this particular miracle. Okay, and the Jews knew that Yahushua was in this particular area. Okay, so they wanted to come out to see Yahushua and Lazarus due to this miracle that he performed. Okay, but look at the beginning of the verse. It says, much people of the Jews. Okay, much people of the Jews, right? So we have to keep that in mind. Much people of the Jews therefore knew that he was there. Okay, so now let's continue. Okay, so this is verse 10, and it reads, But the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death. Okay, so the chief priests wanted to put Lazarus to death because he is the proof that Yahushua performed this miracle. Okay, and this miracle was getting Yahushua a lot of attention, a lot of fame. Okay, so they wanted to put Lazarus to death. Now watch verse 11 closely. And it says, because that by reason of him, talking about Lazarus, many of the Jews went away and believed on Yahweh Shai. Okay, look at the end of verse 11. It says, many of the Jews, not some, but many of the Jews went away and believed on Yahweh Shai. So how then, by reading this, how then can we read John chapter 1 and verse 11 and 12 and come to the conclusion that all the Jews rejected him? Okay, because that's in chapter 1 that they teach this erroneous doctrine. But if you go further into the Gospel of John, into chapter 12, it says that many of the Jews believed on Yahweh Shai. Okay, so now let's go back to John chapter 1 and let's read verse 11 and 12. Let's give a quick recap and bring this lesson to a close. Okay, so this is the book of John chapter 1 and verse 11, and it reads, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Okay, so again, when looking at verse 11, what's taught or what's implied within Christianity is that the Jews rejected him, all of them. But as we saw, that's not true. Okay, what we did, we went further into the Gospel of John and we read John chapter 8 and verse 31. Then we went even further and read John chapter 12 and verse 11, and they both said something completely different. Okay, John 8 and 31 said that there were Jews that believed on Yahweh Shai, right? Then we went further into John chapter 12 and verse 11, and it said that there were many of the Jews which believed on him, right? And the many of the Jews which believed on him, those are the ones that he gave power to become the sons of God. Okay? But anyway, I believe this is a good place to end the video. Again, the title of the video is, Did the Plan Change After He Came Unto His Own? False Doctrine Exposed. Okay? And of course, through the precepts, we have proven that this is indeed a false doctrine. Okay? So with that being said, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ruach Kodash. I want to thank all you brothers and sisters for tuning in. And until next time, Shalom, family.